Did the pro-Hamas campus protests seem a bit too choreographed? From the slogans they chanted to the hundreds of identical tents, it's clear that these were not organic. They appear to be meticulously planned down to the last detail. So who's behind them and what are their goals? This is the men, the money, and the madness. The main organizer behind the college campus protest is National Students for Justice in Palestine, or SJP, which was co-founded by Berkeley professor Hatem Bazian. He's also the founder of American Muslims for Palestine and is closely affiliated with the groups Jewish Voice for Peace and If Not Now. Here's where it gets interesting. Bazian also has close ties to the Holy Land Foundation, designated as a terrorist entity for raising millions of dollars for Hamas, Kind Hearts, whose assets were frozen for funding Hamas, and the Islamic Association for Palestine, which was funded with startup money directly from Hamas. And when these organizations disbanded, their leadership and staff went to American Muslims for Palestine. You know, Hatem Bazian's organization that founded and controls National SJP. They're all connected and all ties lead back to Hamas. While the media and some progressive politicians want you to believe encampments on college campuses are merely pro-Palestinian and anti-war, the reality is much darker. In fact, participants describe it as a revolutionary struggle intended to weaken Israel and reveal the US imperial agenda, which is unsurprising considering this is what Hatem Bazian said at the height of the Second Intifada when over 1,000 Israelis had been killed in Palestinian terror attacks. So who's funding this agenda? Since October 7th, foreign funding of American universities has come under the microscope, specifically Qatari funding. Just a reminder, Qatar is Hamas's largest financier, and the Hamas leadership in exile lives in luxury in Qatar. Qatar has also funneled billions into American universities. Billions. In fact, Carnegie Mellon University alone has reportedly received over $700 million in funding from Qatar, which was never reported to federal or state authorities. And what's more, researchers have found a direct correlation between Qatari donations and either anti-Israel or anti-Semitic sentiments on campus. Federal reports found that universities that received major funding from Arab countries, including Qatar, experienced 300% more anti-Semitism than those that don't. 300%. Why? Well, a 2022 ISGAP study found that as funding from countries like Qatar grows and becomes less transparent, there are more successful attempts on campus to censor academics, attack democratic principles, and allow for assaults on students' freedom of speech and expression. While Qatar has publicly denied funding the protests, there is no doubt that their financial influence has radicalized college campuses. What does radicalization on college campuses look like? Students for Justice in Palestine sounds like a worthy cause, right? They could be a well-intentioned social justice group, but in reality, SJP is little more than a hate group with nefarious connections and a main backer of the recent, often violent anti-Israel university encampments. Contrary to its name and media reports, SJP doesn't want justice or peace. They want to destroy Israel. They say so themselves. It's no wonder that one of the strongest predictors of campus anti-Semitism is a strong SJP presence. SJP tactics include taping eviction notices to Jewish dorm rooms, hosting events with blatantly anti-Semitic speakers like Mohammed El-Kurd, and petitioning to remove Jewish students from student government. Their fight for justice in Palestine equals harassing Jewish students on campus. Students for Justice in Palestine, American Muslims for Palestine, and Jewish Voice for Peace are all associated with the same actors. They collude to form a hostile environment for Jewish and Israeli students on campus. How does anti-Semitism become institutionalized on college campuses? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. It doesn't actually do what you think it does. Despite their best intentions, university DEI offices have created a hierarchy of oppression. Jewish students are characterized as oppressors, and Israel is compared to a white ethno-state. Centuries of anti-Semitic tropes, blaming Jews for society's problems, converge with DEI and intersectionality, contributing to anti-Semitic violence and complacency of college administrators. DEI values are meant to center marginalized voices and to respect lived experiences. Yet when Jews try to point out anti-Semitism, they're frequently shut down or accused of weaponizing Zionism. One DEI director was even fired for what she says was her defense of Jewish students. Because shockingly, or maybe not so shockingly, anti-Semitism is not included as part of DEI's anti-racism and anti-hatred curriculum. But with only 8% of college students supporting the anti-Semitic encampments and an American public largely opposed to them, why are university administrators so quick to agree to the protesters' demands? We have a theory. The protests are organized by SJP, which is funded by American Muslims for Palestine. AMP has ties to Hamas. Hamas is funded by Qatar, and the universities are also funded by Qatar. So Qatar is funding the universities and the organizations behind the encampments. In that case, why wouldn't the universities support the protesters' demands? In short, not only is the system rotten, it's broken.